prizes. So we.
Right.
All right. Well, without further ado, I want to introduce you all to a very, very big friend of mine, fan favorite, I would say, of mine. She is Nikki Lamberti. We have some history together back in our Disney days. So I want to bring her to the stage. Let's start the round of applause. You guys know how we do it. And let's bring to the stage Sip with Nikki.
Yay!
Good morning.
Good morning. See, and where she is, it's morning. You notice that, right?
Really, for real.
Yes. So Nikki, right. Everybody says, I'm here for the wine. Talk about the wine. All right. So we've talked about children. Now it's time for the children to go to bed because it's time to talk about some adult stuff right here, right? We're talking wine. We're talking fun. We're letting our hair down, right? The Santa hat comes off. Or maybe the Santa hat stays on. I don't know. So let's talk about it, Nikki. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you. I am great. It is an honor to be here with you. I think the work that you're doing is amazing. And I love that you and I have kept in touch over the years from when we worked together with DVC. So thank you for having me. Yes, it's early here in California, but I am here. I am ready to go. I am caffeinated and soon to be making the segue to the wine. And I just placed my order for Princess Knickers, for the Meghan Markle veil, and for the Tooth Fairy drawer as well. So wrap it up, send it my way, promo code, whatever.
Call it done. As a matter of fact, there is a promo code that's coming up. So you guys stay tuned. We're going to release a promo code for Autumn with Love before the show ends. So make sure you stay in tune with us. And let's talk about some wine. So who is Nikki Lamberti? You were at Disney, but before you were at Disney, where are you from? Because you're on the West Coast, right?
I am, but I am not a West Coast native. I am a Jersey girl born and raised. So I was in New Jersey through college. I went to Rutgers and got a degree in environmental science. Grew up performing and dancing and ballet and sort of all the performing arts. But during my time at Rutgers, I did an internship through the Disney College program. And that's how the Disney connection started. When I was a junior in college, I spent the semester, this was in 1997, at what was then called the Living Seas, now of course called the Seas with Nemo and Friends at Epcot. And I was a marine mammal intern. So I was working with the dolphins and the manatees and given spiels every half hour about how many heads of lettuce a manatee eats in a day. And that was what I was studying, was animal behavior. So that was my intro into Disney, was through the college program.
Gotta love us some college program, man. College program brings out the greats. I love it. So you're a Jersey girl, then you were an Orlando girl. And so tell us some of the places that we may have seen you in the world before, because I know Mark's going to get into Sip with Nikki and tell us all about all the business stuff. But I want to know a little bit more about the Disney stuff. Where were you?
Yeah, absolutely. So during that internship, my plan actually was to be a veterinarian. I was pre-vet and thought that internship would lead to that. And then during my 6 months at Disney, fell in love with the company. And I was like, nope, this is what I want to do. So went back, finished my senior year, graduated in 1998, which was the year that Animal Kingdom opened, of course. And I got hired right out of college to come back to the company full time. I was an animal keeper at Disney's Animal Kingdom, working in what was then called the Conservation Station, Rafiki's Planet Watch. And basically, if you could do a show or a presentation with an animal, I did it. So whether it was a tarantula, a boa constrictor, a macaw parrot, I was out there talking to our guests all about animals and conservation for my first couple years full-time with the company.
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. Little known fact. I, in fact, was a pooper scooper, literally a pooper scooper at the Animal Kingdom. And during that time, had the wonderful honor to be part of the Disney Traditions team. So in the year 2000, T2K, as we called it, I was part of the team that gets to go over to the Disney University and teach Disney's Traditions program, which is essentially a new cast member orientation, multi-day program. Big honor to be selected, very rigorous audition and interview process. I remember it well. But for a year, I would spend 4 days a week scooping poop, and then 1 day a week over at Disney University. And while I was doing those two very different things, I was like, I think I really like this being in the classroom, teaching, facilitating type of thing. So that kind of led me away from the animal care and into some of the other roles that I've had over the years, which is guest service manager in the Magic Kingdom. But then one thing that Paula and I have in common is I landed on the college recruiting team. And for about 2.5 years, I was a college recruiter traveling all over the country and giving students the opportunity for the college program, which is, again, full circle, because that's how it started with me, right?
Yes.
So good.
And again, I want to say again, you talk about these different roles you had, and they have weight, they have gravitas, as cast members know, to be at Epcot talking about the manatees. That is a really cool job. I also opened Animal Kingdom, so that is a big thing. To even open a theme park, forever, you'll remember opening a theme park, walking in that theme park with a hard hat on, and there are no guests there. And being an animal care person at Animal Kingdom, I mean, that was the place to be. I might have seen you walking around with a bearded dragon. I don't know.
Literally, I did many bearded dragon shows. No joke.
Yes, I do know. Also, but the biggest one is traditions, right? And I can tell you as a cast member, I still remember my traditions facilitator. Her name was Roz. I still remember. I still see her. She was the first person that let me know the Disney tradition. She was the first person I talked to, smiled at me, and let me into the world of Walt Disney World and Disney service. So, these are, again, big roles. And it's an honor just to see everybody and see you guys and talk to you because, this is amazing for people to know. And as cast members do know, these roles are just, they take a lot of work and they take a lot of passion as well.
That's right. And so you've taken that same passion, you brought it into Sip with Nikki. So let's talk about wine. Let's talk about having a drink.
How do we go from the prestigious traditions role where we check that people's earrings are not too big and that they're wearing pantyhose properly to making wine and drinking wine, right? Yeah. So there's an important segue in there. So I think the time in the traditions classroom really illustrated for me, okay, I have this love of teaching, facilitating, sharing information with others. But then I also moved into Disney Vacation Club, Michael, which is where you and I work together as Vacation Club sales guides. And for the last 5 years I was in that role, I was traveling and working on the Disney Cruise Line. And through that, if any of you saw Kristen Wiesa earlier this week, she talked a lot about visiting over 30 countries, working on the Disney ships, similar experience. And I was always a wine drinker, in my 20s and, buying the Lake Ridge wine at Publix and all of the grocery store wine, because that's what I knew. But through working with Disney Vacation Club and on the cruise line, getting to spend time in Italy and France and Spain and experiencing the food and the wine and the culture. And then this is going to sound silly, but many of you who have cruised on Disney Cruise Line, you'll get what I'm saying. Our ships have a very high-end adult-only restaurant called Palo, right? It's an Italian restaurant on the Disney ships. And Michael, as you know, when we would get on board to work for a week as the Disney Vacation Club team, we would have our first night on the cruise, kind of our team building, game plan dinner in that Tignanello restaurant. And it was great because a lot of times we were working with cast members that we hadn't really worked with before. So, and I kind of started this tradition of ordering wine for the table. And this was out of my own pocket, but I had discovered some beautiful wines at that restaurant specifically that I was so excited to share with my team members who would join me each week, who many of them had never experienced any of these beautiful Italian wines. And so through eating at that restaurant, which I know sounds crazy, this love of wine just got louder and louder. And I was like, I think there's something there. I need to explore this. But I was a Disney lifer, like Paula said. I truly plan to retire with the company. In 2011, I was awarded this magical name tag, Disney Legacy. Sometimes I just wear it around the house, but that was a huge honor. So I really didn't have any plans of leaving the company, but then I went on vacation to Napa, and I took my first trip in 2008, still living in Orlando, came on vacation. My mom came with me. And within a couple days of being in wine country, I completely fell in love with the landscape, the wine, the food. I was intrigued about, this whole concept of people living in vineyards and making wine and sharing it with people, because I knew, like, from that experience on Palo on the Disney cruise, I knew how powerful a bottle of wine could be on a table, bringing everyone together in conversation, in a great meal, creating memories. For me, wine is very much a focal point of those kinds of gatherings. So I was intrigued when I visited Napa, like, oh, you can like live here and make wine. It was just a whole new world for me. So started coming on vacation every year and then twice a year and thought, oh, I'll retire in wine country one day. And eventually in 2012, I decided not to wait. And it was one of those sort of eat, pray, love. I'm going to go start a new chapter. And Disney had many open doors for me at that time. They said, you can work remotely. You can, there's many ways to not burn that bridge. So in 2012, I made the leap, moved out here to wine country by myself, didn't know anyone, had done my wine certification at the Culinary Institute of America. Out here was a 2-month program in wine school, which was amazing. So that sort of gave me the foundation that I needed. Yeah. But made the move and rented a house in the middle of a vineyard and landed at Pride Mountain Vineyards, where I currently work as a wine educator. And I've been there since 2012. During that time, I also have been an interview partner with the Disney College program. So talk about, have my cake and eat it too. I've had my foot in worlds for a long time, doing the wine thing, studying, learning, working for the Pride family, but then also being an interview partner, but was furloughed and then just recently laid off. So that ends over 20 years with the Disney company. And here we are in pivot mode, figuring out how to move forward.
Well, you know what? I think you are figuring this out just well. There's so many different ways we can go with that, Mark. Like that's a whole different show, because there are so many stories that are wrapped up in that small encapsulation that you just gave us. Yeah. Living out on the West Coast to the fires. I know you had some very up close and personal experience with how that whole thing worked out. To working at Pride Winery and starting to. I remember when you were going through all of this, your classes, and everybody's rooting for you to pass your test, and you pass your test, and you took us all on this journey with you. Those of us who've known you for many years, and I can tell you a couple of my quick fondest memories of being with you. Yes, Paulo. I had my first Tignanello with Miss Nikki Lamberti. And when she's like, yeah, let's order a nice Tig. You ever had a Tig? And I'm like, what? And it blew my mind. And I was like, oh, this is wine. Okay, now I got you, right? So there was that experience, and that's when we started ordering, different wines, and that kind of opened my palate. But then also when we went to the Amalfi Coast on a cruise, and we went to the restaurant that's at the very top of this mountain, and you're overlooking the Amalfi Coast, and there's open air, and the breeze is blowing, and the waves are going, sunshine, and there's table wine that's right there on the table with the fresh mozzarella. What's the name of the restaurant? Do you remember the name of the restaurant?
Pepe's, Tagliata. Yeah, Pepe's, as we call it for short. Tagliata is the name, yeah.
Oh my gosh, so good, so good. So, so I'm thankful for that. So I want you all at home to be able to get some of what we've learned throughout the years. So talk to us about Sip with Nikki. What is that? What are you doing for people? Are you bottling wine? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so there's a couple pieces of my project. So I'm going to try to keep it concise, and it's really just launching off the ground floor. So I don't even have product to sell yet, but what I'm going to share is what's happening literally as we speak. The website is being built, different things are happening, wine's being bottled. So I'm just excited to share with people to start building this community of people that want to follow the journey and follow what I say from the vine to the bottle. So yeah, first and foremost, I am making my own wine. That was part of the goal of moving out here, was to be an owner winemaker. So after my initial wine certification, that I did in 2012. In 2018, I completed my winemaking certificate with UC Davis. So that was really getting into the science and the chemistry of how to make wine. I've been teaching people about wine and talking about it and helping make it less confusing for people in my role at the winery for a long time. But there were some gaps in the knowledge that I needed to actually sit down and make my own. And that has finally come to fruition. 2019, I purchased half a ton of grapes with tip money that I saved in an envelope from gratuity working in hospitality at the winery. So if you ever visited me at Pride and were very generous at the end of the tasting, that probably went into the envelope that helped purchase the first 1,000 pounds of Sangiovese grapes that I bought from a grower. Someone I had established a relationship with. I was in his wine club and I convinced to sell me just enough to make 1 barrel of wine. So the wine is Sangiovese, which, no coincidence, Michael, that is the base grape in Tignanello, which is that super Tuscan Italian wine that was life-changing for so many of us. I'm very passionate about Italian wines. So that Sangiovese grape was grown about 15 minutes from where I live here in Sonoma County. And I am making that wine at another winery, because one thing I learned very quickly moving into this business is, if I hear one more time, how do you make a small fortune in wine? Start with a large fortune. And I was like, well, I'm not starting with a large fortune. I'm, an hour working with Disney, and I have 3 jobs and saving tip money. So I'm making the wine at another winery. It's called a custom crush, where they invite you in and you pay a fee and you use under their license, most importantly, but using their equipment. So I've got 2019 aging in the barrel, and then we just doubled it. So for 2020, I'll have over 2 barrels, which, FYI, a barrel of wine is about 25 cases, right? A case being a 12-pack box. So for year 1, I'll have about 300 bottles, and for year 2, I'll have almost double that. But they're still aging. So we plan to bottle those probably in the next 6 months. I'll bottle the first vintage. I do have a name, but I haven't even shared the label and the brand yet, because we're waiting on the trademark to be finalized with an attorney as we speak. Once that is good to go, the website will be up, the announcement will be out there, and the allocations and wine club will start. So it's been a long road, but it's finally happening.
Nikki, I got to, first of all, I want to say congratulations. People are talking about how natural you are on camera. They are loving you telling these stories. It is literally a Princess Tiana story of saving your tips to start this. And but what I want to say is, that's what I had the opportunity to host some of the wine tastings during the Food and Wine Festival last year and listen to people talk about wines. And one of the big things was the story of the winery. And what I like is that you are on the ground floor, like you said, from the vine to the bottle. And what a great way for the people to actually be part of that story, to buy your first few bottles when they come out and be part of your story. I just think that is great. And this is so great to see.
Well, thank you. It's great to talk about it, because it's been a dream, and it's been like this ambiguous goal and dream in my head for so long, and only really in this past year and through COVID and the universe doing what it's doing has things started to really progress and come to fruition. And so the other part of the business, besides my own wine that I'll launch next year, is this whole Sip with Nikki concept. So in March, when we shut down for COVID, California was instructed to shelter in place, right? SIP. And right now. But when that first started happening, I started texting my family and I said, oh, we got to shelter in place. And finally I started abbreviating and said, oh, we got to sip. And I was like, sip. So at Pride, at the winery where I work, we started every week on the Facebook Live for the winery. I very quickly volunteered. You can tell I'm not shy on camera. And I said, hey, I'll go live on the Facebook page if you guys want me to talk about different wines. And I started doing that every Friday through COVID shut down when the winery was closed. I did that for about 3 months. And through that, got such great feedback about, wow, really make wine not confusing. I love how you explain about tannins and dryness and glassware, and does that stuff matter? And through that feedback and doing that through COVID, I was like, maybe there's something here. So I have pivoted and started this sort of wine coaching, wine education community. I am currently in the process of creating an online wine course that people will be able to purchase. I'm launching probably in the next 6 weeks. And it'll be something where we will be together through Facebook Live and videos. There'll be worksheets. You could take me shopping with you in the wine shop on FaceTime, and I'll help walk you through and make sense of the shelves. Because one thing that I've learned since I've been in the wine business, friends and family ask me all the time, like, What's a good bottle under $25? What's something good to pair on Christmas Eve? What's something for someone who likes super sweet wine? And people just are so overwhelmed and confused by wine that if I can shed some light and make it less confusing, less intimidating, remove some of the pretentiousness that sometimes is perceived around it, that is really, really fulfilling for me. So through Sip with Nikki, which the website, sipwithnikki.com, exists. If you go to it today, it says coming soon. So there will be a website, which I'm doing by myself. Way outside my comfort zone, but as a business owner, I'm like, okay, I need to learn how to do this. I'm not going to hire someone. So I'm creating the website as we speak, sipwithnikki.com. So check on that over the next week or so. There'll be more information. Wine course launching in this few weeks. And then I created, Michael, thanks for pulling that up. I created a cheat sheet that is available right now. It's Nikki's top wine tips. And so we're going to share the link, and this will eventually live on the website, but we'll put the link in the comments here. If you would like to receive my one-sheeter PDF with like 5 of my simplest wine tips that help take away all the confusion, you can sign up through the link. I'll email it to you. It's downloadable. You can print it and put it on your fridge. And it's just some things that I have developed over the years of teaching people about wine.
I think it's so good because the PDF that she sends, when you put your email in there, you sign up for the information, she's going to email you the PDF, but the PDF has hyperlinks in it. So you're going to be able to literally click on the hyperlink. So she's already going to lay it all out for you. It's there. You just click on it and it'll take you to the information that you're seeking. And I love the idea of the wine coaching, and you've got so much good stuff that's coming up, Nikki. I'm so excited. I can't wait to see the website. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, and you have such a fun personality. Is your Instagram, is it fun? Is there some wine tips on the Instagram? Are you having fun with that? Because we also have some background, because you are also a funny person. We are both alumni of Lab Rats, right? Which is part of SAC Comedy Lab, improv comedy. So are you having fun on your Instagram? Can people follow you on that? Can they see fun things about wine?
Absolutely. So right now, I'm still using my personal Instagram and Facebook. I am Nikki Lamberti. That's my Instagram there. In the link in the bio there, that link tree, if you click on that, first of all, follow me on Instagram. But if you click on that, that'll also give you the link to sign up for the cheat sheet and also opt in. I send out periodic newsletters with tips, videos, and of course, when the wine is released and available to be sold, it'll all be communicated through there. But yeah, on my Instagram and my Facebook, I do a lot of videos, and I'll go live periodically. And this was one that I just did recently about Beaujolais Nouveau, which is a wine that releases in November of every year, and a lot of people don't know about it. So I do like 20-minute live videos which live on my Instagram and Facebook, and hopefully they're tips that'll help you make sense of it all.
Okay, Nikki, pop quiz. I know nothing about wines, but I can tell you that I like dark, sweet wines. What kind of wine is that? What is that? What am I going to look for? I like dark and sweet. Give it to me.
Ooh, look at you. Mm-hmm. So in the PDF that Michael was talking about that I'll send out to people has some of my favorite holiday wines, and they don't have to be just for favorites. But there is a great producer out here in California called Frank Family Winery, which, by the way, has a Disney connection. The owner, Mr. Frank, was a Disney executive with the studios back in the 90s. So that's kind of cool. But Frank Family makes this rouge wine. So it's a sparkling wine that starts out dry, but then they add a little bit of Petit Syrah, which is a really dark color, which is what made me think of that when you said you like them dark. And it's got bubbles, and it's got a beautiful color. I just drank the last one that I had in my wine fridge, or I would have it in my glass for you right now. Yes, this is a 300 bottle wine fridge behind me. Yeah, Frank Family Rouge. It's a beautiful wine, dark color, a little bit of sweetness and effervescence. Gorgeous.
Oh, I like that too. I didn't think I can get that with a dark.
Yes, you can. It's not as common as sweet white wines, but there are red wines that have either residual sugar or a little bit of added sweetness to them, if that's what you like. And there's nothing wrong with sweet wine, so don't let people tell you otherwise. Drink what you like, what you drink. But it's my role to help people understand, okay, what do I like and why do I like it? So now how do I know how to ask for it? How do I know how to shop for it when I go into the store? Get a vocabulary of knowing how to describe what it is that you like in a restaurant.
Oh, I'm really excited of you having this new label, and we don't know what it is yet. This is fantastic. And please make yourself like, either you have a signature, and please have a hidden Nikki instead of a hidden Mickey, and just put it somewhere on the label, like just Nikki, just your signature somewhere, hidden Nikki. That's your little, it's cheesy, but please.
I totally just wrote that down. I will do that. And I will give a hint about the name, because a lot of people have been waiting on the name of the wine and the name of the brand. It is Italian. It is literally in Italian, and it translates into a very beautiful meaning in English. But once it's out there, you'll see it on the label. If you sign up for the newsletter, you'll be the first to know. But it is in Italian, which is very fitting to my heritage and to my first wine, which is an Italian grape, Sangiovese.
Wow. And there it is, that story again. I love it.
So I have a selfish question to ask. When it is time, I know that you're going to go on a media world tour about this wine label, and I would love if Lean In with Mike Collier could possibly be one of those media outlets where we could help the people find out about the hidden Nikki wine label that's out. Is that a thing? Can we make that happen?
It's a thing now, my friend. Yes.
Now. All right, you guys heard it here first. Nikki's going to come back on Lean In with Mike Collier. It's a weekly webisode that I do on Facebook Live, and we're gonna get more into her story too. So we want to find out a little bit more about this. We're going to take questions from the audience. Hey, I got this thing coming up, and I love cake. Is there any wine that goes with cake?
There is, but it's tricky. Pairing with cake and chocolate is harder than pairing with savory things like cheese, but it can be done. But there are some tips that can make it go off well. Otherwise, it could be a train wreck.
Okay, so let's talk about this right here as we start to wrap up. I want you tell us what's going on here. What is this?
Yeah, so this is that PDF that Michael was just talking about. This is just some of my favorite wines that I put together. And yes, it's talking about wines for the holidays. We will be enjoying some of those on our small Christmas here at home this week. But this doesn't just have to end at Christmas or New Year's. These are some of my favorite wines. They are all local to me out here. And I thought it was important to give you wines, and everyone's website is there, that you can't necessarily find in the store in a Total Wine, because California has been hugely hit by wildfires and COVID. Our winery, where I still work, has been closed almost 5 months out of this year between COVID and wildfires. And so a lot of these small family businesses, which every single one of these are, needs the business. So it would be great if you could support these small wineries and buy from them directly. All of them ship. Many of them are doing deals on shipping and things like that. So if you opt in using the link that we'll share, or the link on my Instagram and Facebook, if you opt in and get my wine tips and join the newsletter, do it by the end of this week at Christmas. My next newsletter that I'll send out will actually have that list of all of those favorite wines and wineries that you can click right on. It takes you right to their website, and hopefully just make it simple for you and allow you to support some small California family-owned businesses.
So good. Yes. Wait, everybody give Nikki a round of applause. Yes.
Cheers, everybody.
Yeah. Oh, I think that